who are here at Wat Mapchan and also doing the retreat online, for your firmness and your determination to practice, to develop your mind. All of you can be considered as the ones who have small amount of dust in your eyes, meaning you have few kilesas. That is why you have the chance to come here to practice, to develop your mind, to change from Putushana, the commoners, to Kalayanashan, the people with good minds, to Ariyachon, the noble beings. So you can see that all of us can progress in this life as a human being. We have a chance to be born as human, to meet with the Buddha Dhamma, for example, like this morning, Venerable Ajahn Anan gave the talk that when we are young and growing up, we may have learned, we may have listened to the teaching that the Buddha got enlightened and he gave Dhamma talks. The first one at the Isipatana Marukataya one to the 5 Panchavakki. And after that, there's the Arya Sangha in this world. But when we start to practice, we will realize that the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, they're all the same thing. So in this life, we are born as human, we have full consciousness, we have the wisdom, our brain is normal, and we have the chance to know the Dhamma, and also to meet with the Kruba Ajahn, the Arya Sangha, who can still teach us. And we can see that they have practiced and achieved the full enlightenment. And then they teach it to us, whether the monks or the lay people. This confirmed that if you really practice hard and follow the Dhamma, which the Buddha have taught for over 2,500 years, we can realize that Dhamma, and our faith will increase. So in the beginning, before we practice, our mindfulness and our wisdom may not be developed yet. Our faith may not be strong. All of us are different in the amount of faith that we have. Some of us, we do not know about the teaching of the Buddha, but we start to develop the faith from the suffering in our life. Some of us growing up may not even pay attention to the teaching. We just live a normal life, the worldly life, and we experience pleasure, displeasure growing up. But then, once we face with the suffering that we cannot handle, then we will try to find a way to solve that problem, to lessen the suffering. And we may turn to the teaching of the Buddha as a choice. And we may happen to know or meet the Kruba Ajahn who can teach us, and then our faith increase. Some of us may not face the suffering, may not have problem in life, but then we have our parents who lead us in practice since when we were young. Some of us, the parents may have to wake us up in the morning, in the early morning, to give alms to the monks. But as kids, we do not want to get up. But then we were forced to. Or, for example, on weekends, the parents may take the kids to the temple or monastery, or on the Uposatha days. But then, as kids growing up, as a teenager, we may get bored, because when we come to the temple, we have to sit still, we cannot have fun, and then we have to recite, asking for precepts or giving dana, and we do not understand the Pali. But then what we did is something that stick with us in our mind. In the beginning, we may be bored, but then after a while, the teaching that the Kruba Ajahn give us may start to absorb into our mind. The teaching of the dana, sila, bhavana, or the sila, samadhi, and panya. And once we grow up, and then we may have just small problem in our life, then we remember what the monks taught us. All of us have to face with the uncertainty in life. For example, a person, a couple may want to get married, and they have the determination to stay together for the rest of their life. But then after a few years, they may get divorced and go their own separate way. This is just an example of uncertainty in life. So if you are familiar with the teaching of the Buddha, then this will give you benefit. But for the Dhamma to really give benefit to us, we have to practice. We have to really look and observe our mind. We have to have mindfulness in all our activities during the days. When we work, it may be hard because there are a lot of issues coming into our mind. So now that you have come here, you have to give up your time. You should be really focused in your practice. When you are here, there are a lot of people, but you have to do it just like you are staying alone. And you have to have a lot of determination and practice hard, and your mindfulness will get better. This can be compared to the monk's life. Us monks, we don't have to work, we don't have to cook our own food, we don't have to travel a lot, so that we have time to practice. So all of you, now you have the chance to practice. You have time, your health is good. So may you use the time wisely. And how do we do that? First, we can do that by not thinking about the worldly issues, not thinking back home about the family, about the work. This can be considered as not being mindful. To be mindful, you have to realize that you are sitting, you are at the monastery, and you are listening to the Dhamma. You have to pull yourself back from all your thoughts and proliferation to stay in the present moment. You can do that by staying with the mantra that you like, either Buddho, Dhammo, or Sangho, or you can stay with your breath. And if you do this continuously, you will see the progress. Your mindfulness will develop, and you will be able to catch your emotions more easily. We have to realize that when we are sitting, the past issues or what we are used to, it will pull us away from the mindfulness. So we have to have the diligence to follow the teaching of the Kruba Ajahn. So I would like to repeat that you should be mindful, not thinking about the work or the family. And some of you, even though you do not have a lot of determination, just try to stay at in the present moment, listening to the Dhamma, and follow the activities that this monastery has laid out. Also, you have to realize that our faith can be changed. The faith can change. For example, now you may want to practice really hard, but then after a while, if there is no progress and you start to face a lot of suffering, your faith may decrease. This is very important, both for the monks and the lay people. For monks, some may have been ordained for a long time, but then after a few years, they start to get bored with the teaching of the Kruba Ajahn, with all the activities, with all the rules, like eating once a day. And after a while, they ask to leave the monkhood because their faith ran out. So we should be heedful to keep our faith or to increase our faith in the practice. This is something I would like to advise. For myself, my faith comes from experiencing suffering in life. Growing up in Thailand, in the Buddhist family, I actually didn't pay attention to the teaching of the Buddha. I just followed the worldly life. When I was young, I have to study, from elementary to high school to university, and then doing work. I actually never have been to meditation retreat like you are doing now. But having a Buddhist parents, they are a good example to me. When I was young, my parents take me to offer dana, to give alms to the monks, or on occasion, they invite monks to our house. And I see in the old photos that the monks that went to my house was forest monks. They eat out of their bowl. Or on the birthday of the Kruba Ajahn, my parents, on many occasions, go to the monastery to offer the food. And this is just something that stick with me about the religion, about the Buddhism. And also being Thai as our custom. When I reach 20 years of age, then I have a chance to ordain. But I didn't have the faith at all to practice or to learn what the Buddha taught. So this was just according to the custom. But then during that time, I ordained for 15 days. And I got a chance to learn about the life of the monks. I got a chance to practice, to do morning and evening chanting, to sit samadhi, to walk meditation, just like what you are experiencing here. And then after that, I disrobe and continue to study and work. After working for a certain time, then there was an incident where I have a lot of suffering and I cannot solve it. And I had to find a way to fix that problem, to end the suffering. And I got a lot of advices from friends and family. Some advised me to go to concert, to listen to music, to drink alcohol, to party. The others, they advised me to study the Dhamma, to try to sit meditation. And I have tried all of these advices. I went out with my friends, but then I realized that, the suffering went away just for a short while. But then when I was alone, then the suffering, the feeling of dukkha came back. So I got a chance to ordain. So this time that I ordained, I was determined to practice really hard. And I can see the result that it can really fix my problem. It can really end the dukkha. So I start to see the progress in my mind. My thoughts are better, the suffering lessen, and then I have a chance to meet with Ajahn Anan, who gave the teaching and teach me how to practice, and my faith increased. So you should have faith in the teaching of the Buddha, in the teaching of the great masters, the Kruba Ajahn, and you should have faith in the practice as well. And after a few years, maybe you may not see the result now, but in 2 or 3 years, your mind, you will start to progress, and you will understand the nature of your mind better. All of you who have come here on this meditation retreat, this is the same as me, meaning that it can be compared that you're being ordained for these 10 days. You live a monk's life. You have to wake up and eat and practice, same as the monks here. So all of you should have the determination, the dedication to practice, to not send out your thoughts back to your country or your family, and use this chance to become diligent in your practice. Because after these 10 days, when you go back to your life, you will have to face the world, face the society that is very hectic. And you will need a lot of strength of your mind to deal with those issues. And when you go back, you should always remember the teaching of the Kruba Ajahn all the time. Or in another word, you should have a lot of mindfulness all the time. How do we do that? So you should have mindfulness and remember that the teaching of, let's say, Venerable Ajahn Anan, what he taught these 10 days, especially when you catch that you start to proliferate and your mind, you are not being mindful, and you have a lot of emotion, whether suffering or anger, you should think back to what Luang Por Anan taught. This can be the anchor in your life. So if you don't practice, you may have if you don't practice, you may have doubt that his teaching, can it really fix the problem? But if you practice and you stay mindful, then you will realize that, yeah, it can really fix the problem. So today, I would like to anumodana with all of you at Wat Mapjan or practicing online in the Zoom. And I wish that you can really develop your mind in this life, and develop your mindfulness and your wisdom, and change from the Putushon to Kalayana Shon to Arya Shon, the noble being in this life. And you should have faith that the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha still exists in this world. And you should be firm in your practice, and may all suffering end for you. Anumotana.